good morning, wherever you are in the world. We have something new, and it all started in Bay St. Louis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 40-something Gamers, and if you don't know, my name is Mark,
And
but
I'm
I also
Scharonne.
Scharonne Herrington. I go by the name of Furyus. I'm a musical artist, also a podcaster of Deeper Than Music podcast, and me and Scharonne were previously the Arcade Cabinet. Shout out to Fiery Fox and Bill Tendo. But now we have something new for both of us. It's called 40-something Gamers. We've been knowing each other since 95, and now we have our own podcast where we talk about pop culture, video games, music, and the stuff that we like, and it's all centered around being 40-something gamers.
Oh, yeah.
So what's up, Scharonne?
What's going on, my dude? What you been up to?
Oh, nothing, man. You know, living that Southern Illinois life, 30
yeah.
30 miles away from St. Louis, looking for Nelly, you know, on the search of Nellyville.
Yeah. I think he about to be down here, and I think he has a concert coming up at the World
wow.
College. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, like I said, this thing right here started way before you guys in this podcast. It started in 1994, November. 1994, November. It all started in Bay St. Louis. So, Scharonne, you want to give a backstory, man, of how our friendship started?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we were in Soames class, man. It was I think it was history.
Yeah, history
something
class.
like that. And we were getting ready to do a project, and I noticed Mark had came in. He was just kind of sitting there. I noticed it for a few days, but that's when you had the not the dreads, but you were rocking the plaits,
the crisscross braids.
Crisscross braids.
Yeah.
And we were getting ready to do a project, and I noticed he was like over there by himself. And I was like, "Hey man, why don't you come? Why don't you group with us?" And then we've been down like full flats on the Cadillac ever since.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So as this show circles around video games, I took my man to go get his first. Well, he's the only person I knew to get a PlayStation. But
I was the one down here with that thing.
Yeah. So in the process of going to where was that? Slidell
Mall.
Slidell Mall.
Yep.
Slidell Mall to get his PlayStation. I had a date, but we was a little late. Shout out to Unita Twigs, because she did it so perfectly. And ladies, I want you to listen to this. And when somebody's late on their date, this is what you do. So what she did was she stayed dressed up for that date, and she looked on point for that date. So when I finally arrived, she was like, "Yo, you late, and I just wanted you to see how good I look, because I ain't going on a date with you because you're late." My man Scharonne was in my Jeep laughing his butt off, man. But hey, we got the PlayStation. You know what I'm saying?
We trying to do this on Ridge Race all night long.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But for y'all that don't know, so I was a military brat. Back in '94, I transferred from Fort Dix, New Jersey, to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. My mom's was stationed at the CB base in Biloxi. And a lot of you people, if you don't know about Bay St. Louis is a small town next to Waveland, but it's near the beach. It's beach everything. And the school that I went to, I kid you not, the school that we graduated from is called Bay High School. And no, Zach Morris wasn't there. Lark Voorhees or Screech wasn't there. But Scharonne, you want to give people a little bit of history since that's your hometown?
Yeah, man. I grew up here in Bay St. Louis. We on the beach. You know, we like to say, like, there's Mississippi, and then there's the Gulf Coast.
Coast.
We consider the Gulf Coast. But yeah, man, this is where I grew up. Like, this is a spot, Bay St. Louis. And yeah, man, it's just a peaceful community. It's starting to grow a little bit since then. And we had Hurricane Katrina that happened in 2005, kind of wiped out everything, but it came back. Everybody's resilient and strong. We got a bit of a nightlife going on here. And we got Bay St. Louis, Waveland. We have Pass Christian, Long Beach, and then you start getting into Gulfport and Biloxi and Ocean Springs, and it's a really artsy community also. I'm personally an artist. I paint and draw. So if you're on the coast, it's kind of the place to be with all of that. It's kind of show your stuff.
And little known fact, Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans got most of the publicity, but the direct hit was actually Waveland, which was next to Bay St. Louis.
Yeah.
But wow, and rest in peace to the people that, fell victim to that. But also shout out to Bay High School class of '96. because that's what we are. You know, we got people, and then like the Bay Area, that area. You know, Tank Williams is from that area. Brett Favre is from the Kill. So the Bay has some. You know, we're from the Bay Area. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm not from the Bay. I was an implant. You know what I'm saying? But you know, the Bay has some people going down. So now that we talking video games, when did you get your first console, and what was that console?
My first console came in my birthday, September 17th, 1988, and I still have that console with me to this day. Look at that. I still got the game. Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt.
With Duck Hunt.
Yes, yeah, indeed, and man. That was my first one. And it was exciting, you know, playing like all that stuff for the first time. You know, I think that's probably where my blood pressure experience probably came from, like with all those games making me nervous and stuff, especially games like Ninja Gaiden. You know, that turned out to be one of my favorites. But I mean, I cussed that game many a day before I learned how to play it. That and Double Dragon. You know, those are my games right there. It was so sad. It's like right after I got Nintendo, all of a sudden you got the Genesis does. I was like, what is this?
Oh,
you know, the Sega jumps on the scene the next year. But
yes, sir.
That was September 17, 1988. That was my first console. What about you, man?
Man, I want to say it was I was in 7th grade, so it had to be 95. No, I'm sorry, not 7th, 2nd grade. 1985, my mom got the Nintendo Deluxe. So this is before they added Super Mario, I think. And she bought a whole bunch of games with it. So I had Mario Brothers, I had Gyromite, and I had Duck Hunt, and I had the little Rob thing. And I remember when she got it because I acted like I was sick. I didn't go to school that day, so I wanted to peep out the Nintendo. And yeah, man, Nintendo was dope, man. I remember that Christmas, I got like a whole bunch of games, man. I got Double Dribble, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Kung Fu, man, a whole bunch of games. And I just remember that summer when I went to go to my cousins and my grandma and grandfather's in San Antonio, I brought my Nintendo, man, and that's what we did, man. That's what we played. We did it up. I remember Gradius too, man. Gradius was one of my favorite games. But like you, when I saw the Genesis does what Nintendo don't, and icing on the cake that they had Moonwalker, in 19, I want to say it took a while, man. It took a while for me to get it, but I think in 91 or 92, I got a Genesis. And with that Genesis, of course, Sonic, and I got Moonwalker. Yeah. So first console was Nintendo, and then when Genesis came out, I came out with the Genesis. And I had a cousin that had a TurboGrafx 16. It was pretty cool, but, you know, I went from Sega to Team Genesis. From Nintendo to Sega Genesis.
It's funny you mentioned that. Everybody seemed to pretty much get them around 1991. Mm-hmm. The first time I played one was probably the summer of 1990, and we had like this one friend named Terry and Tillman. He was like the only person who had a Sega. It's like I was the only person who had a PlayStation. But then we had another friend, Desmond Berry. You remember him?
I remember Desmond. Yeah. Shout out to Desmond Berry.
Yeah, he got Sega Genesis for Christmas that year, and that's when I played Sonic the Hedgehog. And man, Sonic was my game. But see, the thing with me is I went from Nintendo in 1990, like when everybody was getting the Sega Genesis in 1991, in the fall of 1992, I got a Super Nintendo. So everybody else around me had Genesis, and I had the Super. You know, so, and my grandma bought that for me, and it came with Mario World.
Oh man.
Yeah, and she bought me Street Fighter 2.
Oh yeah.
Back then, that was an $80 cartridge. So you got to think on top of that machine being like $150, $160. And then on top of that, there's like another $80 to $90 with this Street Fighter thing. Like, man. And then on top of that, we got it early because I remember we were getting ready to get out on Thanksgiving break. I was in the 9th grade. Yeah. And like the day before we got out, we were playing the Super Nintendo. It's like, it was Christmas, Thanksgiving. So I was like, yo, man, let's pop it over. We about to play this bad boy now. Wasn't no waiting. We had Castlevania 4. We had Smash TV,
man.
Super Mario World, Street Fighter, and a gang of other games. I had a friend. Remember Liddell Haynes? Yeah,
I remember Liddell. Okay.
Yeah, he had a brother they had Super Nintendo, and I used to always borrow my games from them. And they even had a Super Scope 6.
Oh, they had the shooting thing, the big shooter. Okay.
Yeah, so when I got Super Nintendo, I was pretty lucky because I had those guys. and I would borrow the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time.
Oh yeah.
That was a rocking game right there, man. And I would still play that game to this day.
I ain't gonna front, man. I still love me some F-Zero. I had a cousin that had a Super Nintendo, man, out in San Antonio, and I stayed with him a couple of days, man, and we Super Nintendo'd it up, man. And I'm not gonna front, man. That Super Mario World, you remember they had those booths where you could play them and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I remember we used to go when we before we moved to Jersey, we lived in New Orleans, and at the New Orleans Navy Exchange, they had that booth. And that booth, man, I played the hell out of Super Mario World. So that begs the next question, man. Are you Team Mario or Team Sonic?
Oh man, that's hard. that's like that. I always see it on Facebook, the red pill and green pill.
Yeah, or you could say draw, man. I mean,
I got to draw, man. Sonic, that's my boy, but Mario is where I came up.
Yeah, Mario. It seemed like Mario had more to offer, man. As far as the video, it had more playability. You could do more. Sonic is pretty much straight go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not gonna front like Super Mario Galaxy and this may be controversial. Super Mario Galaxy and Sonic Adventure. That's like kind of a tie to me, man. But Sonic Generations is dope, man, and I'm glad you brought me to that game. Yeah. So also, I want to frame something because it's weird. We live in a weird time frame. Yeah. To where in the 90s, the 70s, it was all about going back to the 70s in retrospect. Yeah. Remember some of the clothes we wore, and now we're in the 2020s, and the 90s are coming back. So the reason why I say that is because I just recently watched the new Candyman, and the Candyman came out in 90, and rest in peace, Aaliyah. Right. She came out in the 90s. Unfortunately, she tragically died in 2001 of August. I remember this because Aaliyah died, 9/11 happened. But through the grace of God, her music was never on streaming platforms. You had to have the physical copies. But now they re-released all of her music, One in a Million, Aaliyah, what else? The Romeo Must Die soundtrack. Yeah. So it feels like as we were teenagers and we were growing up in the 90s, our teens and 20s, now that's coming back, you know what I mean? And I just want to ask, how do you feel about Aaliyah's catalog being back? Because it ushered in that 90s Missy, Aaliyah, and Timbaland sound.
I'm glad we got it back, Aaliyah, she's a big part of the 90s if you stop and think about it, Mm-hmm. I remember what I was listening to when when Age Ain't Nothing But a Number came out. I remember when Gangsta Smells playing, and One in a Million dropped, and then the Aaliyah album, I'm glad they put it back on streaming platforms because it was such a hot track, she didn't make any bad music. And she was very iconic. I mean, wasn't she kind of like the princess of?
Yeah, so she was kind of like, she ushered in, she was like the princess of, I know they call it, what's the name, the queen of hip hop soul, but Aaliyah was like the princess of hip hop R&B, because that whole new sound was this Timbaland staccato beats and stuff. That was very, very new. Like I remember, hell, when that One in a Million video came out, I remember Timbaland and Missy was sitting in that car while she was sitting on the hood, like laying on the hood, like who are these two? And then of course they brought out Genuine, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, but I mean, she had some hot videos back then.
Oh yeah, Hot Like Fire. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was one, I'm trying to remember what it was, and I won't stump on it, but yeah, I mean, I still watch her video. She's like in my playlist on YouTube because that's one of the things I do. Mm-hmm. And she's in my playlist on YouTube. She's in my playlist on Spotify. I actually still have all of her albums. Mm-hmm. From Age Ain't Nothing But a Number all the way down to the Aaliyah album, and I also. Granted, I mean, I noticed it's still an Aaliyah track, but there was an animated movie called Anastasia that came out. 1997, and
Journey to the Past.
Yeah, I have that. That's actually a really cool video.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the cartoon, she was in the cartoon. Yeah. In the video, the music video.
Yeah, she kind of did like the whole Roger Rabbit thing. It was like real people and animation at the same time.
Yeah. So shout out to Aaliyah. Background music, and then her aunt, who's her aunt, Gladys Knight, Barry Hankerson. Yeah, or that was her cousin. No, that was her aunt. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, that was her aunt. I didn't know that.
So not only did Gladys Knight find Michael Jackson in the Jackson 5, that was also Aaliyah's people.
That was Aaliyah's people, man. No doubt, no doubt. So she got to perform with her a couple times when she was younger.
I remember one time when she did Journey to the Past, after the movie came out, she seemed a little nervous on stage, but she still pulled it off.
Oh yeah. So yeah, man. So we talked about that, and we, video games in the Bay. Again, shout out to Bay St. Louis class of '96.
Remember Lions Castle?
Yep, Lions Castle, and they had like casinos. And I want to bring this up, man, because me and Scharonne had a career opportunity in video games, but we forgot about that opportunity. Remember, we was playing that video game in the arcade.
Yeah.
And that guy, I guess he tests video games or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he told us something like to be back. What did he say or something like?
He said that and this is someone that was based in New Orleans, and we didn't really know a whole lot about that back then. I mean, we knew what video games were, but he was a beta tester, and he was saying that they made like $18 to $20 an hour just testing video games all day. And I was like, man, really? I was like, okay, but I mean, who knew? But I mean, right now, look where we are with video games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he was the guy. He was just like, and I never saw him again. But I hopefully he's still out there in the world somewhere testing, making video games.
Yeah, because he was like, he was a little bit older than us, man.
Yeah, he was somewhere in his mid-20s.
Yeah, he looked like he was his 20s, man. We was like 18 at the time. But it could have been it could have been an opportunity. Who knows? But like you said, we are where we are. I also want to touch upon, since we're all on this retro vibe. I don't have a Switch. I know my man Scharonne has a Switch. Scharonne is the first person I ever know that had a Neo Geo. So, of course, Scharonne has a Switch. I want to talk about, I was reading that the Switch is now online. They have Sega Genesis games and N64 games. Yeah. So what is that? Switch Online? Is that kind of like the Wii store? When the Wii had the store? Like, what is...
Yeah, it's similar to that. Yeah, in fact, it's just like that. Because they also... You pay like a monthly subscription, I believe, and you can play the Super Nintendo games. They have that also. And now they are doing the Sega Genesis and N64 now. So yeah, you'll be able to play those games. Now I don't know which games are going to be in that library, but you must check it out.
So let me ask. Yeah. With that being said, man, what do you think? What is your favorite era, man? What is your favorite? So we kind of were like in the 80s. We were kids in the 80s. We were teens in the 90s. So we saw. Let's circle back. Atari kind of with ET kind of messed the game up. Yeah. And then Nintendo came, and Nintendo was like 90% of the household. Then you had Sega Genesis that had a little bit. So we saw the first generation. We saw the 8, the 16, the 24, we seen all, What is your favorite generation as far as the bit console wars?
That's a good question. See, my favorite generation, the favorite era, will always be the 16-bit era. Because you gotta stop and think about about the 16-bit wars. You had Sega, you had Super Nintendo. Yes. Now you gotta think, we were all coming from looking at 8-bit Nintendo games, which were exciting. We had like the arcade games, which are also even more exciting, but you had to spend the money to drop the quarters and everything. Yes. But when you started to see like the Sega Genesis commercials, I was like, okay. And then about a year and a half later, you start seeing the Super Nintendo commercials. And then we had like all the magazines and everything that really kind of egged everything on. It was really a different level of excitement with all that back then. And I mean, it was just like, it was the most fun. I don't know if the kids today get that same excitement that we got. But I mean, when you walk in Toys R Us and you would see like the Sega Genesis behind the glass and the game was playing, and then right across from it was the Super Nintendo, it was doing this thing. I was like, man, how do you choose? That was exciting. And you got to think, we didn't have jobs back then, so.
Nah. I mean, yeah. And then when we did get jobs, dang, man, what was the game? Toys R Us, KB Toys, man. Yes. But I'm not going to lie. Like one of my homeboys, when I lived in New Orleans,
right?
He rented, was it something video? I can't remember the name of the video game store, but you could rent the consoles. Yeah. He rented a Super Nintendo, and that game UN Squadron. Oh my goodness! Yeah. When I saw that, when you're flying and the lightning and the what's that, parallax scrolling, I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? And then even on top of it, go ahead.
I used to rent those machines like the Super Nintendo all the time before I had one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we used to have the Video Depot. And I used to always go over there and rent the Super Nintendo, and I used to rent Final Fight all the time.
Oh man! And then let's talk about when I first saw Street Fighter 2 with the 6 buttons and the people kind of moving and breathing. So like you said, man, it was an astronomical leap from 8-bit to 16-bit, and even with Sonic, how fast it was, and just and to me, that's my favorite. That's my favorite because with the 32-bit. You start experimenting with 3D. Yeah. And when we first saw it, the polygon graphics looked cool, but now they look dated. It didn't age well, but Ghosts and Goblins aged well. Golden Axe aged well. Sonic, Castle of Illusion. So yeah, that's my favorite, man. I say too, the 16-bit era, man.
That was rocking it back then. And I wonder if there'll ever be another era, that'll come along and do the same thing. That's like saying you want to ever be like another Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and I think the only thing we came close to, man, in my opinion, was the Dreamcast, 128-bit. Yeah, that was some impressive stuff, man. Ready to Rumble, Sonic Adventure. Oh man, yeah. When the Dreamcast came out, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
That was basically the Dreamcast. For us, was the actual true arcade and home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was those games were straight port. We had, what was the one, Soul Calibur.
It was better. Soul Calibur was better than the arcade, man.
Yeah, it was faster. And we had 18-wheeler Pro Trucker. I used to play that game in the arcade. So the Dreamcast, Street Fighter 3 was like perfect arcade. It was like a perfect port. It almost had no load time. So Hydro Thunder.
Oh yeah, Hydro Thunder was, man. Yeah, it was.
So, once we got to the Dreamcast era, that truly changed the game as far as arcade games at home. Now, I don't know if they even really make that many arcade games anymore. Because the home systems are so powerful now.
And to me, they all seem alike. I don't know the difference between the 360 and the One. The graphics look, maybe it's HD, non-HD, but all the PlayStation, everything, the graphics look the same. There is no differentiator. Back in the 16-bit era, Nintendo was Mario, Sonic was Sega, TurboGrafx was Bonk. You know what I mean? Now it's
well, there's a difference because now, the Xbox, their Halo, the PlayStation has Crash Bandicoot. So you'll never see those games cross-platform on the other systems. As far as now, we haven't. But we also thought we'd never see Sonic on a Nintendo.
Now we do, yeah. Hell, Sonic did F-Zero. Sega did F-Zero, right? Didn't they do that for the?
They did. That was the best version of F-Zero I'd ever seen in my life, and it was on the GameCube. I still have it. Yeah. And it was. I think it was almost, if you look at it, it was kind of what they were doing with the graphics. It was a precursor to the new Mario Kart that's on the Switch now. Because I noticed now we were talking about it, he doesn't just drive straight. The roads will actually change, and they will go in the sky, and the entire level will flip around. So you'll be racing upside down. And I remember F-Zero did that, but it was just fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mario Kart 8, it does that. It's just the same.
That's what's up. So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately with the show, we only get 30 minutes to do what we do. But now you have the introduction. You know where we come from. We talk about our first console. And Scharonne, I know you're an artist out there in Bay St. Louis. My man is a phenomenal artist. Man, promote your stuff. Let them know where they can get your art and all that goodness.
Oh yes. You can find me on Facebook. You can check me out on My Mind's Eye, MINDZI. And you can also you can find my Etsy store also. If you click into that link, there's a link onto my Etsy store, and you can find more artwork there. And that's how I do it.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Markivus, Furyus, just IMD, FUR, just Google search FURYUS, or Google search my first name, MARKIVUS. Also have a show called Deeper Than Music podcast, where I interview celebrities, and also check out my music, my catalog. We just dropped Freedom with Danish singer Atrica. That's on all music streaming platforms. And then also working on a new indie movie coming out soon. And then also check out, if you got a Roku, the niousmedia Roku channel, Nious Media Roku channel. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of many great episodes to come of the 40-something gamers. And also, you can go back and check out our previous show that we was on, The Arcade Cabinet with Fiery Fox and Bill Tendo. So I'm Markivus Nious, and that's my man Scharonne Herrington, and we're signing off on 40-something gamers. Peace.